Each year in September, there's a day set aside to recognize and celebrate the contribution of women police officers. Today, we have Superintendent Diana Mills of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. She joins us to share her journey as a female police officer who has attained the rank of superintendent. Welcome, Superintendent. Good morning, SKN.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It is our pleasure indeed. How long have you been in the police force?
35 years.
What? See?
Okay,
Young years.
there has to be something that kept you there for that long.
35.
Can you give us some insight into what it is?
Oh, wow. It has been a rewarding journey. Of course, it was one that I, was met with everything that you can think of, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Okay.
But at the end of it, it was quite rewarding. I felt that that is where I needed to be for those years. Because, of course, there would have been times that I wanted to leave, but I just couldn't. So it meant that I believe that I just had to be there.
Oh, wow.
And it was a case where I was able to touch lives, and it was quite fulfilling, being able to touch lives in some really deep ways. I would have traveled the world. I've been all around, the Caribbean, Barbados mainly. I've been to places like the USA, several states. I've been to Guatemala. I've been to El Salvador. I've been to England. Just name it, I've been there.
You've been there, nice.
And so it's been quite fulfilling.
So there are other careers that you could have chosen as a woman.
Yes.
No pun intended. What attracted you to law enforcement?
Honestly, initially, it was really just a matter of job opportunity.
Okay.
I just needed a job at that time because I came up on the rough side of the mountain, and I could not wait to make my own money and to look after myself based on what was happening at that time in my life. But so when I got in, I thought I would just be there for a few years and be gone. But I soon found out that that was not to be.
That's your calling.
That I had to remain.
Nice.
I have nothing but respect for police officers. I think that you and teachers have to deal with a lot, and you basically hold society in your hands. Some before things happen, some after things happen, and society looks to you for a lot of things. In terms of your journey in policing, what can you tell us? I understand it was a job opportunity. That's how it started. Let's go through that progression.
Yes. Well, having been employed there, of course, gone through my initial training, came out and would have worked at the Sandy Point Police Station. That would have been my first station, which is where you practice to do everything in an outstation, and especially like Sandy Point. You did just about everything. And from there, I was sent to Nevis. I cried when I when I was told that I was going to Nevis, because back then it came across like punishment. However, it turned out to be a real blessing in disguise, because there in Nevis, there was who was then Inspector Foy. He had become Commissioner of Police eventually, but at that point he was Inspector Foy. He was in charge of Nevis, and he believed in teaching, and he taught, and because Nevis was much slower than St. Kitts, we had the time to do that, so he taught, and he gave incentives, like who came first would get a weekend off, who came second, get an extra rest day, who came third would get a night off, and guess who got all the weekends off?
You.
I got all the weekends off because I made sure I came first so that I could get the weekends to go home.
Yes.
I was coming first, even where persons like our now Commissioner, Mr. Brandy, he was a part. And I was heading him, yes.
Nice.
Mr. Brandy, sorry.
I'm wondering if he's found a way to get you back for that. just out of sheer curiosity.
But because I I was not living in Nevis, and I had no place to go after work. I just used the opportunity, and I just stuck to the books. I studied, and that even helped me after leaving Nevis to be able to go and pass the exam, the police
Yes.
exam for promotions and all of that. So, like I said, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. So, just to see that sometimes when something is happening and we feel like the worst thing is happening, sometimes it is such a blessing and we can blow it if we are not careful. Just want to say that to somebody out there.
Indeed. You spoke to some of the good things, like you're studying and getting where you are today. While policing as a woman, did you experience any form of prejudices?
I didn't experience that. I would not say it was to such a large scale,
Okay.
but there was some. There was some.
How did you deal with that?
Excuse me?
How did you deal with that?
Well, I am a very spiritual person. I believe in God. That is my life. And so I just turned to him and I have strong faith. And I would have seen him just come through for me in every way. When I say every way, I would actually spread out on the floor at time and just cry out to him when I experienced those things. And I would just see him just turn things around. And when I said turn things around, I mean, to the point where I would just be amazed.
I'm wondering if that's what actually gets you through it, because obviously when you spoke before, you said you've dealt with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the
And
bad,
I
the
imagine
ugly.
some of the bad and the ugly that you've had to confront would be such that you definitely need to relieve some stress, and you definitely need to be able to continue doing what you do. So that helped you. Religion helped you.
Indeed. How do you de-stress?
Oh, well, same way, prayer.
Okay.
I
No
just
spa
get-
days?
Excuse me?
No spa days?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, I do have. Unfortunately for us, we actually have someone who, we can go to and have massages and so forth. That is something that is offered in
Nice.
the organization right now, fortunately. As a matter of fact, I should have an appointment this week
Look at you.
and so forth. But, and I also would have gone to the gym at times. After Corona, that kind of went down, but we are thinking of getting back there and so forth. But for the most part, prayer, just taking time away with the Holy Spirit. I tell you, it does wonders. Yeah.
I'm getting that sense from you, quite honestly. And as I could only begin to imagine, as I said before, when you're dealing with, depravity, the lows of humanity, seeing sometimes what we could do to our neighbors, you need some sort of outlet to be able to cope with that. And I'm glad that you found that. Can we talk now a little bit about your responsibilities as superintendent?
My responsibilities as superintendent, it involves much. Well, where I am now, it's in a directorate because we have directorates. Just before coming to the directorate, I was at the crime directorate, where I was in charge of so many of the big units. We talk about the violent crime unit, the CID, which is the Criminal Investigations Department, White Collar Crime Unit, National Prosecution Service. You just name it. It's just,
You've
all
been in
those units like cybercrime,
A wealth of
local
experience.
intelligence office. Yes. All those things. Presently, I'm in charge of what you call the Service Improvement Directorate. And that is, we deal with things like training, we deal with discipline, we deal with, seeing about welfare and all these things to improve persons and the organization.
Okay. To a female that's watching us right now and wants to become an officer, can you look into that camera and tell them what it takes, and can you encourage them to join the police force if that's the case?
Okay. To any female out there who wishes to become a police officer, I would warn you that you will need to want to be a police officer. It would be important to want to serve your people, to have country above self, because it's going to take some selflessness. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take a love for people and country. It's going to take sacrifice in your time with your family, friends, and loved ones, maybe even your church at times, unfortunately. but it's going to take some sacrifice, and you're going to have to be ready to sacrifice that. It's going to take hard work, but once you would have put in the hard work, it's going to be very rewarding because there's so much to gain out there. There's training here locally, regionally, internationally. You can travel the world as I did, meet so many people and experience so much experience that could take you throughout life.
Right, a bit of a topical question for you. We've seen police in the forefront in places like America for their treatment of, other people, and sometimes we question whether or not there is this sense of trust that they've garnered from the public. What do you think is the public's perception here in St. Kitts and Nevis of police officers?
I think the perception of people here in our federation about police, unfortunately, is not what it should be. I'll put it that way. It is unfortunate because I know that there are some police officers who are like the sweetest thing. There are police officers who, they stop at nothing. They go above and beyond the call of duty just to protect, just to serve, just to ensure the safety of others. You would see police out there sometimes annoying to persons who may be in harm. Sometimes persons are in harm and they don't even know. But maybe police get a little tip off and they have to be out there and they have to be like staking out, sometimes getting centipede bite, other insect bites and all these kind of things, getting wet down from rain, you name it. And they just keep going. And sometimes after they would have done that, they get back. And sometimes you're hearing like the kind of beat down that come. Yeah. And I could understand because, yes, I know that there are those among us who really operate less than how they're supposed to operate. And they cause that for us. Because as we hear, a train is as strong as its weakest link. Yeah. And so if we have those weak ones amongst us, they would, of course, affect us. Because whatever they do, the people will not see, this person, others, they see police. And so all of us have to bear whatever comes.